Peggy 3.
Hi, you're watching another episode of The Boot Room. I'm Matt Cuttle, this is Darren Cross from Match Magazine, and this time we're talking about keeping possession, particularly when you're under pressure. Isn't that right, Darren?
Yeah, I think probably all of us know how tough it can be to play against an opponent that's really good at applying pressure, but we've got a few tips today that should help you with that.
So what's your first tip?
The first one is the formation, and we've talked about this many times on a number of shows, but this is particularly where it helps you. When you're up against somebody that's applying pressure all the time, it really helps to know where your players are and when. It's almost sort of second guessing, so you don't have to look. Because the important thing obviously is that you keep the ball moving, and knowing the formation helps you do that. Okay,
so you've got a formation that you know, the players are coming towards you trying to get the ball off you. What should you do next?
The first thing I always think when I'm up against a high pressure player is to keep it simple, keep the passing simple, particularly at the back. So I definitely don't try any turns or elaborate sort of moves with any of my defenders, because if they get caught it's big trouble. So it's about keeping the ball moving around your teammates, just simply playing the way you're facing, or playing very safe passes to nearby teammates, just to keep it moving so that the other team has to chase it. And that's what it's all about really, because when they're chasing, they're leaving gaps somewhere, and later on you'll be able to use those to your advantage.
So in the game, you're keeping the passing simple. What else are you doing?
Yeah, it's really important to look around as the ball is moving, because you want to try to think a pass or two ahead if you can. So as you're playing from, say, your centre back to your right back, you should be looking out, can you find the right midfielder with the next pass, or are you going to go back in field to another midfielder, or back to defender? These are the sort of options you need to spot and then weigh up while the ball is in motion, so that you don't have that delay in controlling the ball and then thinking, okay, where am I going to pass now?
And to spot where to pass next, you can do something which a lot of people actually overlook, don't they?
Yeah, and that's use the radar. I think if you can't necessarily see the next pass on screen, sometimes having a quick glance at the radar will show you where you've got players in space. And of course it's really helpful to see what's happening elsewhere on the pitch. Again, it might not be in your immediate view, but if the opponent is pressing with two players at a time, there is that gap somewhere that we talked about, and the radar is going to show you where that is.
And if you're playing against a really pressy player who's moving players to intercept your ball and you're moving it around a lot, eventually a gap is going to open up, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and that's why we're passing it around the team, to look for those gaps and use them. I think the important thing to stress is that I'm not saying just constantly pass it between your right back and your centre back. As long as you're advancing overall in a forwards direction, then that's fine. But if you do need to go sideways or backwards to keep the ball, then do that. As long as overall that you're eventually making a forward passing move, then you're along the right lines.
So when playing against high pressure, you are moving backwards, you are moving forwards, but there are times when you shouldn't move forward just for the sake of it, especially if you just see one player and think he deserves the ball.
Yeah, I think that's what's tricky sometimes. You can spot a player, a teammate ahead of you that's in a lot of space, and rush the ball forward to him, only to find that once he's got it, he hasn't got anywhere to go, and effectively you've isolated him with the pass, and then it's going to be very difficult for him to do anything with the ball because he hasn't got any support from his teammates. So it is really important to steadily build up against the pressure player and sort of patiently wait for those gaps, and then by all means be fast and go for them, but not to do that too soon and isolate your own teammate. Which
goes back to thinking a couple of moves ahead. Now, what do you do if someone's right on top of you and you haven't managed to keep him at bay?
Yeah, if you're about to be caught in possession, there are a couple of things you can do. Again, your knowledge of what's happening on the radar might help, because you might go for a big switch to a player that's in space, and that can get you out of trouble. If not, if the player is really on top of you and about to make a tackle, sometimes just a short burst of pace can be enough to take you outside of his run path and make the player's own momentum miss you effectively. So just a quick burst of the sprint button in a direction can take you away, but you want to try to avoid that. A pass is better, because if you do get caught, you will give possession away.
Yeah, I mean, especially with your back four, they'll be behind your defence and on your goalkeeper like a shot.
Exactly, yeah. With the back four, again, no turning, and no trying to sort of escape away from possession like that. If it was a centre back that had the ball and I was about to be caught, I'd just clear the ball. I wouldn't be thinking, well, maybe I can accelerate and avoid a tackle, because if I can't, he's probably going to score. So it's safety first, really.
If in doubt,
kick it out.
It's an old adage, but it's true. Darren, what we're looking at next time?
Next time we're going to look at different ways to beat your marker.
Good, look forward to that. Darren, of course, you can catch in Match Magazine. That's out every Tuesday. Their Facebook page details are on screen now as well. We'll see you next time for those tips on The Boot Room.